Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So today we're once again clowning on Pokimane, and while her tier 3 simps are currently searching for the dislike button on this video, let me just tell you, you're not gonna make it. So her latest take is one that I think is pretty interesting for the reasons she probably didn't intend, and we're gonna talk about it today. So here's the take. It says, unfortunately there aren't that many huge female streamers, at least not on Kai and Speed's level. Pokimane says that the streaming scene is becoming more male dominated. Now the funny part about this is that she's partially correct, but not for the reasons she would have hoped for, right? So yes, platforms like Twitch, for example, and even Kick, they are male dominated right now. But that's not surprising because they've always been male dominated, and it's not too surprising when you start peeling back the layers as to why these platforms exist in the first place. Places like Twitch were created primarily for gamers to stream on and for gamers to watch broadcasts on. It's not too surprising that those spaces would be male dominated. No, I'm not going to listen to the latest hack journalist who says actually gamers are 50-50 in terms of gender because we interviewed 100 Candy Crush players. No, the reality is, and we all know it, is that the gaming space is primarily occupied by men, and those are the ones who are going to be streaming on places like Twitch, and those are going to be the ones who are watching those male streamers. I mean, it's just kind of how people operate, right? Of course, there's going to be some people gravitating towards female streamers like Pokimane, but that is typically not the majority as we've seen for years and years, and I don't think that's too controversial to say. But her statement here also ignores something that I think is kind of offensive, because on the female side of streamers, she's completely ignoring people that do pull really good numbers, and that, of course, is VTubers. As many people have pointed out, Pokemon, please, with a picture of Iron Mouse and Gargura. So they are people right here, two examples of female streamers pulling amazing numbers on different platforms. You have Iron Mouse, who is the second highest all-time sub number on Twitch. She was, for a moment last year, the number one all-time until Kai broke her record and reclaimed his number one spot. And then you have Gargro, who has millions and millions of subs on YouTube. And of course, Pokimane ignores examples like this. Now, there's a lot to go on here psychologically with why VTubers seem to appeal to such a broader audience these days. And there's some reasons as to why I think people are just gravitating towards them as content creators. They want to use VTuber models because it gives them certain advantages that regular face camming does not provide. And this Shondo clip will be forever relevant, so let's give this a listen.
Get rid of times. We don't like real women anymore.
Based.
What, you mean these virtual women go online and make money and I have to spend 3 hours putting makeup on? Yep. Get over it, whore. Your days are over. Your womb is drying up. My womb is eternal.
Obligatory Shondo clip on this subject. But for the average Twitter user about to fume over this and go apeshit on Twitter crying about what she just said or anyone agreeing with it, you're offended, but that doesn't make her wrong. Because yes, that is one of the advantages of having a VTuber model. You don't have to worry about people picking apart your physical appearance every time you go live on a face cam. In fact, the proof of that is in the original Dexerto tweet where there's a bunch of people in the replies spamming pictures of Pokimane without makeup on, and they're saying how terrible she looks. And by the way, I think that's kind of stupid because all of these female streamers that these people simp for, yes, they look very different without makeup on. That's just like reality. If anyone thinks otherwise, they're delusional. But anyways, you avoid all of that by having a VTuber model. It's really just that simple. You're perfect all the time in terms of your appearance. You have exactly what you want every time you go live. So I think that kind of takes some barriers and some obstacles out. Of course, being a VTuber comes with its own challenges, like a bunch of wackadoos constantly hating on you for the most benign things, but there are some advantages that people just don't really think of all the time. But, of course, the data is there to suggest that VTubers have dominated the female streaming space for some time now. I mean, just look at this. In terms of the top peak concurrent view count here, right, you can see the top 2, 4, 6 are all VTubers. And by a landslide, by the way, which is pretty impressive. And that's backed up even further if you look at the most watched female streamers of 2024. I mean, look at it. the top 5. Again, all VTubers across multiple platforms, and nobody's surprised by that. So like, what's going on here? Well, I think there's just a different level of entertainment, and also it's breaking the classic meta that was working for many years, where a lot of face cameras were just sitting there in front of their camera and just talking about whatever, and then their most top viewed clip of the year was them getting up from their chair, because that's why people were there. It is what it is, and now Twitch cracks down on that stuff. But yeah, that's the reality, and this is one of those like unexplainable things. I can't like pull out anything to like definitively show you this, but I think a lot of people get this sort of vibe where for some reason VTubers appeal more across the board than your typical female streamer. It just seems like that's the way it is. A lot more people can agree on a VTuber model, right? A lot of men and women can agree anime girls are cute. I know, it's a really shocking formula. It works. You even have weirdos like me putting on this anime character, and all of a sudden some people just like it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it is. But yeah, the data suggests all this stuff is true. When you look at the numbers, it just seems like people in general, male and female, gravitate more towards VTubers. And we even saw Pokimane in particular try to appeal to this by coming up with their own VTuber model back in 2020. I remember making a video on this, right? People had very polarized reactions to it. I remember making a video on this and getting absolutely flamed by some of her supporters. They were so mad that I dared to question her intentions behind this. And also, strangely enough, the video got age restricted within like minutes, which I don't know what happened there, but something weird was going on. But clearly she understood at the time, but it didn't work for her because it didn't enhance her content whatsoever. She's still just Pokimane sitting in a chair complaining about nonsense that nobody really cares about. I mean, here's some of these takes that we're talking about here, right? So let's just get an idea of what people are thinking. Here's another tweet from Optimus here. Kai Cenat has a celeb on stream every other day, it seems. He and Speed constantly do marathon streams and grind games. Meanwhile, 80% of female streamers we saw over the last 5 years were abusing hot tub metas and promoting OnlyFans content. I wonder why they're winning. I mean, unfortunately, that is the meta. It doesn't represent everyone, but man, you know, especially last year when people were talking about some of this stuff with the Twitch TOS, and all you see on certain categories with the face cameras is super sexual content and people trying to push their OnlyFans. They're trying to push adult content that's on different platforms, and it gives even like the legitimate female streamers a bad image to work with because they're being lumped in with these people. And at the end of the day, these people who are searching for this sort of sexual content, they're still a pretty big minority, and that content that's being produced trying to promote that stuff, it's not entertaining to someone who's not looking specifically for that. If you're going to Twitch for gaming content, which is the majority of people, they don't appeal to you whatsoever. And the fact that that became a legitimate meta, that sucked, and it really damaged the platform, continues to damage the platform to this day. And what he said about Kai and people like Speed is right. You don't have to like Kai or Speed or enjoy their content. Like, for example, it's not my sort of content. I'm not going to watch a Kai stream or anything like that, but it's undeniable that they put a ton of work into what they do. They invest a ton of money, time, and energy into every single stream. They're doing crazy things. I'm pretty sure both of them just did some like WWE related events. Like, it's crazy the lengths they go for their content. And in terms of gaming, you have Kai, who last year did like a whole gigantic marathon playing Elden Ring, and was like super into it and was doing these elaborate cosplays and getting these elaborate props for every single stream. It's a big deal. And like also pointing out, they bring celebrities onto their streams all the time. It's a lot of effort put into it. And then compare that to people like Pokimane, who this is like the best they can do. Right, every time they go viral for a clip, it's just some dumb take. And this one is based on the halftime performance of the latest Super Bowl that just concluded about a week ago, where Kendrick Lamar performed the halftime show, and some people were mixed on it. Obviously, some people liked it, some people didn't like it, and this was her take on people not liking the performance.
With probably zero musical capabilities, think that Kendrick Lamar didn't deserve the halftime show. What? What do you mean? Like, sure, we could sit here all day and be like, oh, I actually think this artist deserved it. What? Only white people hated it. I didn't want to say it. As a white passing person, I didn't want to say that.
Did you guys tier 3 sub yet? Yeah, so again, as people always have to, they make everything about race. Like, you can't just dislike the halftime show or not be interested in it without it being something about race, right? And anyone who says, as a white passing person, like, dude, get out of here. You know, it's convenient to say it now, but then the next time there's another issue, she won't say that she's a white passing person, and so on and so forth. It's just a really dumb take. Like, this is the only reason anyone talks about her nowadays. It's like the latest dumb take, and that's pretty much it. But then you have people like Gargura, and also with this particular event, Suisei, as well as I believe Pecora as well, who did the performances at the Los Angeles Dodgers game back last year, and then they conveniently went on to win the World Series. I mean, the power of VTubers, am I right? But anyways, you can see, like, is Pokimane or Amaranth or any of these people doing stuff like this? No, I don't think they are. And it's not too surprising as to why, because number one, either they're a complete brand risk for something as mainstream as this, or they don't have the talent to do something like this, or they don't feel the need to, because sitting in their chair and just making clips like the ones we just saw is somehow enough for people. And that's really, again, with the whole VTuber aspect here, I think it's pretty interesting to look at the contrast. But here's another one saying, showing some examples of Chibidoki, for example, right? You don't need like these insanely attractive models if you're a VTuber, if you're actually entertaining. Like, look at this gremlin that pulls in thousands of concurrent viewers, right? It kind of shatters the whole expectation that, oh, you just get a attractive VTuber model, you instantly get views, which is definitely not true. The market's totally oversaturated. But let's look at this. This is what the people want.
¡No me hables inglés!
Las frutas.
¡Las frutas!
Naranja.
Naranja.
Content. That's all there is to it. People want to be entertained at the end of the day. But unfortunately, as you can see, Smugglana here points out, based, Pokey is right. VTubers aren't females. We're all men with voice changers. That is incorrect. We're all men without voice changers. But seriously, like, that's the other issue to this, is there's no sort of recognition for VTubers when it comes to who the top female streamer is, and just VTubers in general, right? They always deal with these stupid assumptions that they're all men with voice changers, or they're ugly in real life and they're hiding these things, when a lot of people are just downplaying the benefits of keeping anonymity and not having to worry about how people are going to judge your physical appearance or anything like that. And instead, you want to focus on your gameplay and your content instead of worrying about your appearance 24/7, because it's taken care of because of your VTuber model. But yeah, those assumptions are still true to this day. People still say this about Iron Mouse. I can see comments underneath this tweet right here about VTubers being men with voice changers and things like that. And it really goes back to this comment right here. Don't VTubers consistently reach similar numbers to these guys, or do they not count? And unfortunately, the answer is yes to many people. VTubers just don't count at the end of the day. They can never really explain to you why they don't count, for reasons at least that aren't completely hypocritical when you look at other popular streamers, but that is unfortunately the very apparent reality for a lot of people. They see something that's different to them, that they don't particularly like themselves, and they just try to discredit it 100% across the board. And yeah, I think her take on this really shows that even people like Pokimane don't really take VTubers seriously. They don't count them, because there was no mention of them whatsoever, even though people like Iron Mouse have reached levels that people like Kai and Speed have, and even collaborated with Kai, for example. But they're just not on the radar of people like Pokimane, who'd rather just sit there and complain and play the victim 24/7. So I'm not too surprised this happened once again. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.